Welcome to the Veterinary Culture Lab, where science meets real-world application. I'm Andi Davison.
And I'm Josh Weissman. Together, we'll show you an evidence-based blueprint for renovating culture in your veterinary team, one episode at a time.
Every veterinary team across the board shares one core goal: to deliver outstanding patient care. And the secret to reaching that goal might surprise you. In today's episode, we dive into research showing that exceptional patient care starts with exceptional team care.
Hey, Andy, how's it going today?
I'm doing great. How are you, Josh?
I'm okay. This is strange because it's not April, but this is like sort of tax season for us. I don't know. Do you guys do like the extension thing on your taxes?
Not anymore. We used to. When Mike and
Yeah.
I ran our own practice, we absolutely
Mhm.
used to. But now
Yeah.
that we're not that into it, we are capable of getting it all done on time.
Yeah. Well, I can echo that. With business ventures and investments and stuff, we obviously use a CPA for our taxes. And I just got the
Mhm.
hey, here's your annual tax bill thing from them, which is really exciting. But I mean, listen, it's complicated. It's worth the money, right? I don't want to do my own taxes.
Yeah,
Like
right.
you, I'm just not into it.
That
I
was a
think I
good
got
one because it took
I
me
think I
until
got, yeah.
that moment. I'm like, into what?
That one, that could have been really good, or it just could be complete groan or terrible. Totally understand. Anyway, thank
But
you for playing along.
aren't they the same thing? Really good
What?
and groany terrible? That's like,
Andy, come on now. Okay, on to more serious matters, the purpose of today's conversation. Andy, one thing I think that you and I can agree to, we've met thousands of veterinary leaders over the years of doing, this work in Flourish. And I personally would be willing to bet a month of ER laundry duty that nearly every single one of those leaders really truly cares about the people that they lead, the people on their team. They do actually care. I honestly have run across very, very few people in veterinary leadership positions who I don't feel like actually care about other human beings. The problem that I see, though, is that there's a difference between feeling care and showing it, right? It's sort of the difference between intention and impact. Teams only experience what we demonstrate, right? Like it's what we show people, what we do that conveys the message. And I think that we see two common missteps when it comes to leaders in veterinary medicine demonstrating care. On the one hand, we'll see folks who they rely on gifts basically, right? So they're pizza parties and they're giving out Starbucks gift cards, right? Which is nice. It's nice stuff. It's good. There's nothing wrong with that, but it feels a little bit shallow, a little bit surface level. Or on the other extreme, and I'm sure you've seen this too, I see veterinary leaders kind of slide into like BFF mode, where they try and be everybody's best friend and all they do is take care of people, which again, that conveys a lot of care. It's a good demonstration of care, but that level of demonstration comes to the detriment of accountability. It's hard to be a high quality manager and somebody's best friend in the world. So, of course, this begs the question, how can leaders demonstrate care while also building trust and performance in their teams? Well, today, I've got a study to share with you from Human Healthcare that spotlights specific manager behaviors that nurses in human medicine experience as caring. And there's a bonus to this. This is not just about how do we demonstrate care, but what are the benefits of it? When these behaviors happen, we see in the research that patient experience scores actually get better too. Put another way, managers who take care of their nurses have nurses who take better care of their patients. That's pretty awesome. So let's dive into the research here. But first, I wanted to ask you a question, Andy. You've been around the block in veterinary medicine. You've experienced a lot of different managers and a lot of different leaders. So I'm looking for two examples from you, okay? The first one, I'd really love to hear about an experience that you've had with a manager in veterinary medicine or elsewhere is fine. But an experience that you've had with a manager that left you kind of feeling like, I'm not so sure that that person really cares about me. And then for the second one, I'm looking for the opposite. An experience that you've had with a manager where you walked away from that experience feeling like, oh yeah, that person definitely cares about me. You think you can give me those two examples?
Oh, absolutely.
Awesome. Excited to hear.
Absolutely. Let's do the first one, right? The manager that left me feeling like I wasn't super sure if they cared about me. And that one's an interesting one because the manager that comes to mind in this experience was not a terrible person, right? Like it wasn't that monster manager that, was the villain in my movie kind of a thing. This person was just kind of meh, like they didn't really engage. They didn't really connect with me. They didn't really recognize me. Like it was just sort of, yeah, sort of a response like that. There wasn't a whole lot of interest in what I was doing. There wasn't a whole lot of curiosity. It was just, Andy will do it. It's fine, whatever, no big deal. And it was, I felt very replaceable. I didn't feel like I was unique as a person. I was just a warm body, right? And like I said, this person wasn't mean and hateful and like evil and terrible. They just were blah about the whole thing.
So it sounds to me like this manager, they didn't treat you poorly. They weren't hurtful towards you. They just weren't really present. They physically present, emotionally, psychologically present. They didn't show interest in you. They didn't demonstrate anything that would prove to you that they actually cared about you as a human being, and it left you feeling replaceable.
Yes.
What about the other side of the coin? A manager that made you actually feel cared for?
Well, it's kind of the flip side of that, right? Like somebody that, this particular manager definitely recognizes me as a person, like as an individual person. They recognize the unique strengths that I bring to the team and to life in general, right? Like it's not just about what I can do for the clinic or the company. It's what can I do that's unique and special and fun because I'm Andi. Like what can Andi do as opposed to what can a person in this role do? And it makes me feel very seen and very heard because this particular person sees me for me and not just as a person filling a role or doing a responsibility or getting something done. It's a very individualized connection that this manager made the effort to do on a routine, consistent basis.
So this is, I mean, these are all actions, right? Like this is a person who they took the time to be with you, to get to know you, to show curiosity, to pay attention to things that emerge that are unique to you, to bring those things back around, to show you, I saw these, I heard these, I value these. And that's a routine cadence. That's something that seems to happen over and over again. Do I have that right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think the big thing in hearing you kind of reflect that back that made me go, yeah, that's it, is that routine cadence, right? The consistent effort that was made. It wasn't like a one-time do it because you feel like you need to, or because it's what you think I want to hear, or because the boss is watching kind of a thing. It was a consistent effort. And because it was consistent, it felt genuine.
Oh, wow. Okay. So it's the repeat that made it feel genuine to you.
For me, yes.
I guess I can understand that because I could see like someone could perform these kinds of behaviors as a one-off. But if it's just a one-off, then it starts to feel performative and then it doesn't really feel authentic.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. Well, those are great examples. I really appreciate you sharing that. And that's a really wonderful segue into today's study. So the title of the study is The Relationship Between Staff Nurses' Perceptions of Nurse Manager Caring Behaviors and Patient Experience. This was actually a PhD dissertation, a published dissertation, this research, and this feels like the title of a PhD student. Basically, what they were doing here is they were looking at, like, does staff perception of manager caring and manager visibility relate to patient experience scores? Spoiler alert, it does. So let's talk about the study itself. How was it designed? Well, this was a cross-sectional correlational study. So this is basically like a single snapshot across different teams looking for patterns between variables. In this case, the variables are, do I feel like my manager cares about me? And then do patients report high levels of caring behaviors here in the hospital? You could think of it this way. It's like taking one clinic-wide photo on a busy Tuesday. It's just like the whole team, everybody there, right? And then noticing, are there caring actions happening there? And then do those teams like view those caring actions as caring? And then teams who see the leader on the floor delivering these caring behaviors, they're probably going to have happier clients. That's basically what you're going to see in this image. Now, because it's a cross-sectional correlational study, correlation is not causation. We can't prove that the leader's behavior caused the smiles and the delivery of good care, but we can show that those two things seem to travel together consistently. So what they measured here were a few things. The things that are really important here is the manager caring. They used an assessment tool called the CAT Admin assessment tool. This is a staff survey about how the manager relates and supports their team. Example items from this psychometric assessment tool include things like, ratings of, do you agree or disagree? My manager asks me how I think about my nursing or healthcare in general. My manager provides me with literature that helps me in my work. My manager makes sure that my coworkers know what I need. These are all action-based things, right? All of those are concrete caring behaviors that the team members then rate their managers on. They also rated them on manager visibility, which is really just a measure of like, do you see your manager like out on the floor, or are they kind of hidden in an administrative office on, the fifth floor and you never actually see them kind of thing. So in other words, are you interacting with them in an interpersonal way, or are you interacting with them, basically via emails? Visibility, by the way, in this study correlated very much so with higher caring scores. So vis-a-vis, the more present the manager is, the more caring the staff perceived them to be, which spoke a little bit to what you were saying, like, the difference between absenteeism as a manager and being present consistently. And then the last thing they measured was patient experience using a tool that's standardized in human medicine. And it measures domains like, quote, nurses treat you with courtesy and respect, or nurses listen to you carefully, or nurses explain things clearly. Like these are all the kinds of outcomes that we're looking for in our veterinary practices, right? Like we want our teams to demonstrate to our clients and patients that we respect you, we treat you with courtesy and care, we listen carefully, we explain things so that you feel empowered to take good care of your pet. They also measured just the overall hospital rating. Now here's where it gets juicy. The key findings. In teams where it was perceived that their manager cared about them strongly, those teams had patients that rated the caring behaviors of the team and the hospital overall significantly higher. Visibility and caring moved together pretty consistently. If teams said my manager is highly visible, they were significantly more likely to say my manager cares about me, and their patients were significantly more likely to say, oh yeah, I get really good care when that team is taking care of me. It's sort of like testing the team's relational vital signs, right? Like just measuring the interpersonal relationship quality, the vital signs between team and manager, and then comparing them to your practice's Google reviews. If the vital signs are higher, you're probably going to get better Google reviews. So this begs the question then, like how do we apply this stuff, right? Well, one of the things that emerged from here is this idea of care flows forward. When you're in a position of power, the care that you deliver, it moves beyond the person that you deliver to. You're setting the tone. We talk about this a lot. A big part of culture is the repeated behaviors that people in leadership deliver day in and day out. So when staff feel cared for, their bandwidth for client care actually expands. Now, we know this, Andi. We've known this for a long time. This study just kind of solidifies it for us, but we don't always see it. You and I, we get to interact with a lot of veterinary leaders, a lot of veterinary teams, and a lot of veterinary organizations. And we don't always see this like care flowing forward thing from the top down. And I'm really curious, Andi, in your perspective, where do you see veterinary practices blocking the opportunity for that flow to happen? Or thinking of it a different way, what is getting in the way of veterinary managers demonstrating care on the floor more often? What do you think?
I've had a lot of experience with this, and I've had a lot of comments and questions and thoughts shared with me about this from other veterinary professionals, which is why I'm going to stand up on the soapbox and very confidently say, I really think that people believe that they don't have time to do it, that they're too busy, that they've got too many other things to do, that this will just be too time consuming for them to possibly spend this extra bit of time that it takes to do this.
I think that completely resonates. This reminds me of a story of a client of ours, a practice that we worked with, a pretty large practice, almost 100 team members, privately owned, specialty emergency. CEO of the organization came to us and said, we have a problem. We have rotated through hospital administrators. In fact, we've had 5 of them in the past 2 years. And the consistent problem that we see is that when we interview, hire, train, and onboard, we tell them pretty consistently, your job is to be an advocate for the team. You need to spend time with them. You need to get to know them. You need to understand their day-to-day experience so that you can help it be better for them. Then they come in and they're in their office all day, every day. And then the team complains, I never see the manager. And you're going to probably recall this, Andi, as we dug in a little bit deeper, what we found was that those managers consistently felt like they didn't have the time. But why? Why didn't they have the time? I think it was because of the architecture of the organization. First of all, the administrative offices in that hospital were on a completely different floor from the hospital. Secondly, the way that the entryway was designed in that practice, people in the administrative team never had to walk through the hospital floor to get to their office. They could actually go through a different entrance and go directly to the second floor where their offices were. Thirdly, the hospital administrator's office was right next to the CEO's office. Guess where the CEO spent most of his time? In the office. Guess what he would constantly do all day? Go to the hospital administrator's office, dump something on their desk, something to do. And almost every single one of those tasks was tasks that required them to be in their office in front of their computer. So on the one hand, you're like, make the time. But on the other hand, you're also like, if the organization was designed to allow you to make the time, it probably would have happened more, right? Yeah, so I think that echoes a little bit of what you were saying. Another thing that emerges from this particular study is that it's really important to be seen and then to be useful. Both of those things are essential, but being present is the first piece of that. Visibility isn't like a hallway wave. It isn't what I used to do, which I'm a little embarrassed to say, but I would do it pretty frequently. I'd come to my practice. This was the last hospital that I was the managing partner in. I'd come in first thing in the morning. I'd walk through the hospital and say good morning to everybody. Then I'd go to my office and spend 13 straight hours in front of my computer. And then at the end of the day, I'd walk through the hospital and say, thanks for your work today to every single person in the hospital. And I felt like that was me being present. It was not. It turned into such a joke with the team. They would make fun of me behind my back. Thanks for your work today. Here he comes. He doesn't even know what I did today. I could have hidden out back smoking cigarettes all day and he'd have never known and still come and thanked me for my work today, right? So visibility is not just a hallway wave. It means that you've got to show up on the floor. You've got to be present in their day-to-day lives and experiences. And that has to happen predictably and consistently. And then you have to use that time well. That's what being useful is. So asking questions like, hey, what's getting in your way right now? Hey, what are you excited about right now? Hey, what are you looking forward to next, right? Getting to know people in their day-to-day experience. And then you got to work to remove barriers for people and do it efficiently, effectively, and visibly. And then finally, close the loop when appropriate, right? So return back. This goes back to some of what you were saying. With the manager that you said makes you feel cared for. It's not just the taking interest, but it's the bringing those things back later. The consistency, that routine cadence that makes it feel genuine. The third thing that I'll focus on here is the power of shielding. That sometimes caring is not just taking an interest in people or demonstrating caring behaviors, empathy, giving gifts, things like that. It's also shielding them from harm. I think one of the more powerful ways that managers can show team members that they care for them is to be their backup when they are having struggling interactions, especially with clients, right? So backing them up with a rude client, unrealistic demands, protecting their dignity, modeling safety, those kinds of things, showing up for the team when they need you most.
Hey there. If this conversation is landing with you, I bet you aren't alone. Why not follow the podcast or share the episode with some of your fellow vet crew? Together, we can all be part of a community that believes that thriving in vet med is possible and actively works to build the profession we all deserve. And if you're ready to take the next step, check out our upcoming Flourish Academy Masterclass in cultivating positive team communication. It's linked in the show notes. Now, back to the Culture Lab.
So, how do we actually put this stuff into play? Let's say somebody out there listening to this episode says, I agree. I love this stuff. I want to do this. I don't know how to start. We need to renovate the culture. So how do we renovate the culture? Well, one thing that I thought of is care forward micro moves. So these are like small interpersonal caring focused interventions, actions, right? So an example could be like a 2-minute relief check. So during on-floor hours, just pulling, I don't know, one of your team members, an associate, a technician, a CSR, anybody on the team aside, and just asking them, hey, Andi, you've been running ragged today. I could see you've been kicking ass. What's one thing I can take off your plate right now that's going to make a difference for you? And then actually do it, right? Like actually get that thing off their plate. This demonstrates both visibility, but also instrumental support, which is a caring behavior. Andi, I'm wondering, when you think of like these micro moves, right? Like this is a small, simple thing. Anybody has a minute or two in the day to pull someone aside and say, hey, I can see you've been working your butt off. What's one thing I can take off your plate right now? Anybody can do that. What might be one or two other like similar micro move questions that managers could ask during this 2-minute relief check? So instead of what's one task I can take off your plate right now, what's another or two other like micro move questions that a manager could ask to demonstrate support?
I'm going to give this one a little extra shot of steroids because I think that it could go even further in a way that might be even more impactful and powerful. Don't just pull the person aside. Go in with them, right? So, for example, when I was the tech manager at the University of Florida, we had a caseload, man, especially in the winter when things were really hectic. And I'll say, when I would go out there, like, I'm going to be leader manager girl today, and I'd pull them aside, drove them nuts because they had stuff to do, right? They had patients to care for. They had to give treatments on time, and they had it all planned out. And so when I would pull them aside, I know that they would be like, oh my God, I don't have time for this. And I can respect that. So what I started to do, and hopefully this worked, right? Now, if they're listening, hopefully this worked. But I would go in with them, right? Like I would jump in while they were doing treatments and help them with treatments, right? Like I would open the syringes for them, or I would reach and grab the meds, or I would hold the patient, or whatever it was to help them out while I was checking in with them. Because then it wasn't this stop what you're doing kind of thing, especially in a busy environment where we all feel like we don't have all that much time. And I was jumping in, showing them that I cared and that I saw what they were doing because I was standing there watching them do it. Yeah. And while we were doing the thing, I would often ask, gosh, you've got a lot going on your plate. What's something that you're struggling with? Yeah. And they would tell me, gosh, time management is really difficult, or I'm having a really hard time tubing this horse, or I keep running out of bute and I have to go to the machine and get it. Whatever it is. And then we could talk about what that would look like. But that little tweak of, falling in line with them and going along with whatever it was that they're doing and being helpful at the same time as asking them and getting curious and finding out, that seemed to land pretty darn well because I wasn't making them stop because they didn't want to do that. They were on a roll. They had stuff to do.
Yeah. Hashtag go in with them. It feels like a mic drop moment. I'm not going to lie. That is absolute solid gold. It nails every one of the things that come out of this study. It's presence, right? So you're there on the floor with them, showing visibility. It's helping behaviors because you're doing something. You see that they're busy and you're doing something to help them, which is a demonstration of care. And then you're just adding this element of the check-in during it to see
Mm-hmm.
what else can I do, which creates that opportunity for that loop to happen. I could take that off your plate. Great. Let me go do that and then return back to them and say, hey, it's done for you.
Well, and they also don't feel rushed in that conversation, right? Because if you're pulling them off and you're saying, hey, let's check in for 2 minutes, they're thinking in their brain, okay, this is cool, but I have 900 other things to do. And their
Yeah.
brain isn't in the conversation with you. But if you fall in line with them and you hashtag get in there with them, they feel like they can continue that conversation with you because you'll just keep going. Maybe you'll go to the next patient. Maybe the conversation will carry on through 2 or 3 patients, but you're getting a response. You're getting them to engage. You're getting a chance to listen to what they have to say in a way where they don't feel like they're being rushed or they're being pulled off the floor or they're being derailed in any way.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. I mean, I'm picturing a manager, like I'm picturing myself back in the practice several years ago, walking back into treatment, and it's just one of those chaotic days, and you can clearly see that there are 2 kennels where those dogs have been discharged, but the kennels have not been cleaned yet, and the team's running around like maniacs. I just walk back there and clean the kennel, and while I'm cleaning the kennel, I can strike up that conversation. Hey, just checking in, guys. What do you need off your plate? Where do you need some support today? I think that's absolutely lovely, Andy. The next thing in terms of culture renovation that I wanted to share today was this idea of leader rounds. And we'll share in the show notes some of this. This is additional research. There's some really neat research in human medicine that has shown a correlation between high quality, like structured, impactful leader rounds and improved team and patient experience. So like just by implementing like really good leader rounds, we can actually improve the belief that the team cares about us and then therefore improve the care that they deliver to our patients and clients. So this could be like, for example, I don't know, 1 or 2 short rounds a day, maybe one at the beginning of the day, one at the end of the day. If you're a 24-hour facility, just, structure them around shift changes, things like that. Brief, quick, add them to your regular medical rounds if you need to. Just commit 2 or 3 minutes maybe to each one and just have like a particular question. Maybe today's round is about like celebrating wins. What's something that maybe I haven't seen in the past week that's worth us celebrating? Maybe today's round is about removing a friction. Hey, what's something that you think is going to get in the way of you having a decent day at work and being effective today? Going around and just gathering those from people. Another example that I saw was a technician manager in Arizona. They implemented these percentage check rounds. So they do their regular medical rounds, their strategic rounds, and at the end of it, they just go around the room and everybody just says, "What's your percentage today? Are you feeling 100% ready to go? Are you feeling 10% you're really struggling today? Like just percentage, no explanation. I don't need to hear the details. You don't have to tell your life story in front of everybody. Just a percentage check, but it's in front of everybody. So now the manager knows where everybody's at and they can structure their day accordingly. And the team knows where everybody's at so they can offer support and help each other out too. Another one was this idea of walk with me coaching moments. So we could renovate our culture by implementing these walk with me coaching moments. These are like identifying opportunities to spot coach people on the team in the flow. This is like a little bit along the lines of what you were saying, to get in there with them, right? So getting in the flow of things and coaching people and doing it over a period of time. So I don't know, like joining or observing or leading a difficult discharge conversation, or modeling listening and then having a debrief about what that was like with that individual. The idea is that you're going to be present, so it's increasing visibility. It improves communication domains. It shows that like I care about your development and your success here, all those kinds of things. Andy, I had a question for you here too. Taking yourself back to your teching days, in your ideal world, if you had a manager, a technician manager that was going to like step into the flow and deliver micro coaching moments for you, what would that have looked like?
The thing that comes up for me here is something I actually wish I was better at back in my manager days, right? Like I wish I had done this more. I wish I'd known the value. I wish I could go back and do this better, because what really stands out to me here is having those coaching moments with the team through times of uncertainty, right? Like you're trying to perform a task and you just can't hit the vein, or you just can't pass the tube, or the dog's trying to bite you every time you open the kennel, right? Something's not going well. Like you're trying to perform a treatment, or you're trying to do like a techie thing and you can't, and it's frustrating. And as a technician, right, we want to do all the things and we want to be good at it and we want to get it right the first time. At least me, I do. And, and it's frustrating as heck when that isn't the case. And maybe it's because, the skill is a little bit difficult. Maybe it's because the knowledge behind it is not quite there, or you're questioning yourself. But having a leader that could coach me through that a little bit more effectively could have been magical in a way that allowed me to feel like I did actually know something, right? Like it wasn't demeaning, or it wasn't, oh, get out of the way and just let me do it. That was encouraging me and supporting me and reminding me, hey, you can do this. You know this. Let's take a step back and figure this out together. That would have been amazing. And that is something that I think I could have done better out in the world where I did spend time on the floor. And I was in those situations with people like that, because it could have made such a difference.
Yeah, I hear that. I think that's absolutely lovely. This is like the check-in, what's the thing I can take off your plate, amplified. So it's not just what's the thing can I take off your plate, but what's the thing you're struggling with and how can I help you get over that struggle, get over the hump, right? I think that's lovely. I'm going to share two more really, really quick here because I don't want to make this episode too much longer than I need to. I could talk about this topic forever. One of them is what I think of as a fast shield protocol. I think one of the things that we fall short on a lot in veterinary organizations is preparing for and training for the inevitable difficult conversations we're going to have. We will run into challenging conversations with each other and clients. We will run into upset clients. So preparing ourselves for that in advance as a team, having scripts, training on it, role-playing it, and then having a shield protocol. Like something in place that says, this is what we will say or do that will alert our manager. Now is the time that you drop everything and show up to have my back. And make that very clear and effective so that you've got that trigger to pull. And then the last one is closing the loop updates. I have found that managers tend to be pretty good at checking in with their team and not quite as good at following up on what they've checked in on. One of the things that I often hear, and I'll bet you hear too, Andi, from the organizations that we work with, is I need leadership to be better communicators. There needs to be more communication, right? I think it's the closing the loop that's missing a lot. So an example is this thing of what I think of as a green, yellow, red board. So where you just have a board somewhere central in the hospital that lists, these are the big projects that we're working on, the big things we're trying to fix, or the big hairy problems we're trying to overcome. Is it green? Like we're done, we've done it, and here's the solution. Is it yellow? We're working on it right now. Here's what we're working on, when we expect to have the next thing to report to you, when you'll get that report. Or red, we know this is a problem. We're not working on it currently, and here's why. And here's when you can expect us to start working on it again. Right? So that's a way to just provide that information clearly, consistently, and transparently to the team. So that's it. That's the results of this pretty cool study. By the way, I did a little bit of digging. I'm not going to share all these resources in the show notes for this one necessarily, but this is not a one-off study. There are other studies that have found very, very similar findings. It's pretty consistent in human healthcare that when the people in charge demonstrate caring and supportive behaviors for their teams deliver better support and caring behaviors to their clients and patients. So this stuff really works. Which brings us now to my most favorite part of our podcast. Andi, what you got for us?
Well, I giggled when you said consistent because I thought, well, you know what else is consistent? The insanity of Florida Man. And this week is no exception. This week's Florida Man actually happened right up the road from me in Gainesville. So as everybody knows, I am in Florida, which gives me the extra tee-hee. to get to talk about these kinds of things. But I am in a little town in between Ocala and Gainesville. And this happened in Gainesville. So this is like close to home, Florida man. The headline for this week is Florida man steals excavator, goes for joyride, crashes into Walmart. Of course it's Walmart.
Of course it's Walmart.
Of course. Like what other establishment would he crash into?
Oh my gosh. Florida man, you never disappoint.
I know. Very consistent. See?
Very consistent. Thank you for that one, Andi. That brought some joy to my day. That's all we've got for you on this episode of the Veterinary Culture Lab and our offers to help you renovate your culture to create places where the people of VetMed thrive in and through their work. Thanks for listening to us today. We will look forward to seeing you at the next episode. If you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button. Make sure that you get the updated episodes as they come out. Thanks, everyone.
See you later. Thanks for hanging out with us in the Veterinary Culture Lab, powered by the science of workplace well-being and brought to you by Flourish Veterinary Consulting. If today's episode sparked an idea, made you smile, or got you thinking, hey, I should totally try that, let us know. What do you think? Be sure to subscribe, share, and remember, a thriving veterinary culture is possible, and you don't have to build it alone.